welcome back to the Hawkins Do You Copy podcast. My name is Lauren.
And my name is Emily, and in this podcast we talk about all things Stranger Things.
And today we are back with some season 4 information, which I think everybody is desperate for right now. So back in December, we were given just a little bit, scraps at this point. I will take scraps, like fully.
That's all we want.
That's all we want. But back in December, we were actually given eight new cast members, so the actors and who they're playing, which sparked many a theory, many a thought. We have many a theory and many a thought about said characters and cast members. So we are very excited to talk about them today and share some of our theories with you.
But before we get into that, we're going to remind you where you can catch us. And you can catch us on Spotify, Google Podcast, Apple Podcast, and Stitcher. If you prefer to watch us, you can catch us on YouTube at Hawkins Do You Copy. And you can also find us on our social media, so that's Twitter, Facebook, Instagram at Hawkins Podcast, and then hawkinsdoyoukopy.tumblr.com on Tumblr.
Yeah,
obviously.
Oh yeah. So there were arguably, I would say the first person they announced is I don't want to say most famous, but quite a big name especially in horror.
Big name.
Yeah, especially in horror world, and that is Robert Englund, who was the original Freddy Krueger, which is very exciting.
Who I know very well, since I had a dream about Freddy Krueger out of nowhere the other day. Absolutely terrifying. We'll get into the podcast moment, but let's just say I knew there was a song. Never seen the film. I woke up thinking of all the characters had with Freddy Krueger, and I managed to defeat him. So don't need to worry about me there.
You have to let everyone know the secret, because like the point of him is like, you know, he can't be defeated, because you defeated him in dream as well, like not even in real life. Like he didn't come into your real life in the dream. You were dreaming in the dream.
I was dreaming in the dream. It was absolutely amazing. I think it's a bit graphic how I defeated him, so it might not be suitable for the podcast, but the claws are handy. Let's say that.
Get him with his own weapon. I was so excited about this. I really love Nightmare on Elm Street. I'm quite a big horror fanatic, and I really enjoy horror movies, and seeing that he was going to be in it was really exciting to me, because I think he's really good and he does this type of thing really well. And he is going to be playing Victor Kreil, who is a disturbed and intimidating man who is imprisoned in a psychiatric hospital for a gruesome murder in the 1950s. So already it's a bit American Horror Story. We're in there, like a bit true crime, you know, bit graphic on, you know, are we going to go into the details of the crime he committed? Is the crime he committed going to tie in with anything in the Stranger Things world?
See, this is what interests me about this one, because I think it's really specific that it is for obviously a gruesome murder in the 1950s. Yes. And we know that one of the big themes for season 4, I mean, I'm presuming this is still the big theme of season 4, it has been 2 years nearly, is that it's something that's kind of been there since the start and kind of connects everything. So could this be the thing that connects everything? At the moment, I can't see what this thing could be. Because I don't think even in the bonus content really we've seen anything that alludes to this, apart from the Halloween comic. But then even then I doubt that Robert Englund or Victor Kreil is the candy man person that Will Byers dreamt up. But there we go.
No, that is quite interesting. What is interesting?
Is it a candy man, or have I just accidentally quoted Sunny with a Chance there?
I think it's a candy man. He invents someone. But I read that in October.
I don't think it's Candyman. I think I've literally just quoted Disney Channel original show there. what is it anyway? Right, yeah. So in the comic, I think it actually takes it back to the 1950s, doesn't it?
Yeah.
And they're sitting around. It's Halloween essentially. They're all in Casablanca in our memories forever. And he tells a story about, I think it's in the 1950s, this group of kids, and there's been a murder within Hawkins. Could be. I don't know. I don't think it is, but it's interesting that that's also gone back
It
to the
is
1950s. I think about it actually.
Yeah, that is really interesting, and like that was such a little like one-off comic. But I wonder if it was a slight like if you know you know sort of thing, and you're going to learn more about him in that situation.
Like this, I feel like this definitely isn't. I think this is just a real, what we could call a reach. But it is interesting that they're going back to I know, but it is interesting they're going to that period of time.
Yeah.
So it does suggest that something maybe is the catalyst in the 50s then.
Yeah, and also like that was sort of around the time 50s, 60s was around the time of like MK Ultra starting.
Yeah.
Because I think what people forget is that in the 70s and 80s when Brenner is still with Elle, that's actually illegal. So
yeah, it's meant to be finished
by
that point.
Yeah, so MK Ultra started as a totally legal project, which the US government did, fully confirmed. That app happened in real life, which is ridiculous, and I cannot believe it was ever sanctioned as a thing. But when it was officially shut down, some people did continue with it unofficially. And in the world of Stranger Things, Brenner was someone that was involved with it officially and then continued with it unofficially. And we see that in season 1 where Hopper finds like information on him and that kind of thing, like news articles. But this is also interesting because a psychiatric hospital is mentioned all the way back in season 1 by Lucas. And it's just as an offhand comment, because he says maybe Elle escaped from Pennhurst, the asylum in Cali County, which is also in Indiana. And when we were looking at Victor Kreil and we were looking sort of online for Victor Kreil on the Stranger Things fandom Wikipedia, it does say that he, the old favorite. Yeah, absolutely amazing. Thank you for your service. They did say that it is Pennhurst Mental Hospital that he is a resident at, that Victor Kreil is a resident at. But what interests me is actual Pennhurst in real life. Pennhurst was a real psychiatric hospital that closed in 1987. That's in Pennsylvania, not Indiana, but this one's in Indiana. So I don't know if it's supposed to be, if it is Pennhurst, I don't know if it's supposed to be actual Pennhurst or just a psychiatric hospital with the same name.
It's not going to be a thing where they kind of, it's going to be like really trivialized, like what the kids are saying in season 1, but isn't like a thing where they're like, oh, it's a psychiatric hospital, it's Pennhurst. Like it's not going to be like a throwaway line thing that they're just, it's the big one they know about, so they would go, oh, this would happen, and this is the name of it because it's the one they would hear the most. I don't know. I mean, I don't know what they're going to be picking up on at that point. I'm not sure.
It is interesting to me, and if it is called Pennhurst, I'd be interested to know if it's supposed to be
in with the canon.
Yeah, have they just changed the rules? And in Stranger Things, Pennhurst exists in Indiana, not Pennsylvania,
which is quite unlikely for them. That's what confuses me, because I think as a whole the Duffers have actually kept everything pretty accurate time-wise. I mean, I know that there's some pieces of music and that kind of thing that haven't quite fit in within the continuity of the show, and like things have been released early.
And obviously Hawkins is not a real place, but
no, I know, obviously that as well. But as a whole, they have kept things pretty accurate, even like with the Satanic Panic thing with D&D, and all of that. It seems to line up pretty well timing-wise. So it seems weird that this would be an oversight.
Yeah, and it's a big oversight as well. It's not like
a little bit of a big oversight.
It's not like Pennhurst is in Indiana, but it's in Indianapolis, not Cali County. Like it's in an entirely different state. Is Cali in Pennsylvania in the start of episode 7?
No, they're in Chicago, aren't they?
No, Elle goes to Chicago.
yeah, so Cali would be in Chicago then. I always thought.
I have a feeling that
Unless she went on
Pennsylvania.
the biggest road trip of her life with the man in the truck.
No, I think that they're in Chicago when Elle finds them, but I'm sure at the start of that episode they're in Pennsylvania. But I might be completely wrong. But I just find that interesting.
Don't give me Cali.
But no, the fact that they're they haven't just said he's in a psychiatric hospital. They've specifically said he's in there for a murder in the 1950s. And then I'm wondering how we're going to see inside the psychiatric hospital.
On with that. Carry on with your point. I'm just going to go and grab the comic because it is really irritating me.
Okay.
That I think I've called it the Disney the Disney Channel original villain. So carry on, please continue to talk about Edward. Oh my god, I'm making Victor Kreil.
But yeah, I don't know. I just think that it's really specifically mentioning what he has done and why he's there. And then obviously the Duffers have made such a big point about wanting to get out of Hawkins, and we know that we are getting out of Hawkins obviously with the buyers and with Hopper and where Hopper is and everything. And this obviously isn't getting us out of Indiana. We're still in Indiana, but I find it really fascinating that they've been so sort of specific with that. And linking in when I was saying how are we going to see inside the psychiatric hospital and how is that going to happen, I'm just going to skip the second person that they announced for now, and I'm going to skip to the third person they announced, who is a character called Peter Ballard and is played by Jamie Campbell Bower. Now,
the child eater, by the way.
The child eater.
The child eater of Hawkins. I did just fully quote Sunny with a Chance. So that's an expose of me.
Great show though, great show. Not the show that we're talking about, entirely different vibe, but
Sunny with a Chance was amazing. I loved Sunny with a Chance. I know that there were reasons why it could continue, but I am so bitter to know we don't know if Sunny and Chad ended up together. Anyway, back to Stranger Things.
There we go. Jamie Campbell Bower, interesting casting in my opinion, because he doesn't fit everyone else that's been cast. I think he's very not well known, but he's had some like really big roles that are different vibes to the roles that like Winona Ryder's had and Sean Austin's had and Robert Englund's had. Like, he was in Harry Potter and The Mortal Instruments and Twilight. And
I've gone completely blank. Who was Jamie Campbell Bower in Harry Potter?
Young Grindelwald.
Of course he was. Yeah, sorry.
Because he was engaged to Bonnie Wright at the time. That was like a whole subplot of the world.
How did I miss that?
Yeah.
How did I absolutely miss that?
Yeah. I don't know, like when I saw you're just like baffled by this now, like genuinely.
Yeah, baffled.
Because I really loved Harry Potter and like I really liked Ginny, like book Ginny, so I was like very involved with that. And then I love The Mortal Instruments and Shadowhunters, so when he was in that, and then he was in that with Lily Collins, and then him and Lily Collins were together for a bit, and I love Lily Collins, so I just have like loads of weird facts about Jamie Campbell Bower's life. He was also in a band, he writes music. And he was in Twilight. Right. He was Caius in Twilight. This is just an expose on Jamie Campbell Bower. But I don't know, like he just seems it's quite interesting that the mainstream actors they choose are within a specific genre of film. And he is like one of the ones where it seems a bit like the choice is a bit different. So I'm really interested to see him within the show. Because I associate him, I associate him with so many other characters. And I know that, and like I associate Winona with other characters, and I do associate Sean Astin with other characters as well. And obviously Robert Englund to me is Freddy Krueger, but I feel like that doesn't impact other roles of them. Like to me, Winona is Joyce. I don't look at her and think, oh, that's, or I think it's,
that's Veronica from the hit Heathers.
Exactly. But then when I'm watching Heathers, I'm like, if I ever rewatch Heathers, I'm like, that's Veronica, not Joyce Byers.
Joyce Byers.
Do you know what I mean?
Joyce
Like,
Byers AU.
Joyce Byers AU, literally. Which is interesting, whereas Jamie Campbell Bower to me is like Jamie Campbell Bower, because he's been in so many things that I've been interested in. So I don't know. But he is playing, like I said, Peter Ballard, who is a caring man who works as an orderly at a psychiatric hospital. Tired of the brutality he witnesses day after day, will Peter finally take a stand? And the fact that they've asked this question, I'm gonna say Peter does take a stand. And I think,
and I'm also going to hazard a guess that Peter is going to die.
Yes, because I also think that Peter is a number.
I mean, that's a slightly different approach to my response there.
Oh, I think he's going to die. I absolutely think he's going to die, but I think he is a number.
It's a very, it's a very interesting place to be working, and for a character that we are being introduced to.
Yeah,
I think, because I mean, like, compared to all the others, they seem to. It's because I'm really weird, because obviously it does make sense to the setting, because we obviously have Robert Englund that is in the psychiatric hospital, but like, just flip to one of the later ones we will talk about. We've got very clearly the Russian subplot going on with Dmitri, who is like the Russian prison guard, the Russian prison guard, and then you've got Yuri as well, who is also within the Russian subplot. So we can kind of get what's going on here, but the psychiatric hospital thing is something that actually I don't quite know how it's going to completely fit in. So it will be really interesting to see actually how this character plays out, because I think it clearly is going to be quite significant.
Yeah, and how are we going to get there? You know, like, what is the psychiatric hospital subplot of the show? How are the characters we know involved with that, or is it going to be like something we see in the sidelines? And you know, how far away is Curly County from Hawkins? Probably not that far if Lucas thinks that Elle could have walked from it.
Yeah, exactly. Because things, well, we seem to have a lot of subplots going on in season 4. I mean, we've got the Byers, who I think
have disappeared off the face of the earth.
Yeah, exactly. I think out of all of them, we don't really know a clue what's going on there, apart from obviously one of the characters that we will get to in a second. But even that doesn't tell us anything.
No.
With some of the other characters, we clearly kind of know that this is a Hawkins subplot. So we've got obviously the character Jason, and then we've got another Colonel Sullivan, who has to do with Hawkins and the perfect world and evil unraveling, that kind of thing. And then obviously we've got the Hellfire Club Eddie. So that's set there. Then obviously we've got the Russian, but I don't know where this quite fits in with everything.
Yeah.
And it's because I'm also presuming at this point, I think not one of the characters, of course, but we've also got Erica, who I think has been bumped up once again, isn't she? She's like regular now.
Yeah.
I think. And I don't think that role's been diminished at all. So we've also got the middle school subplot, I'm going to presume. So there's a lot of things going on. So I'm a bit confused.
When the Duffers said they wanted to expand and do things that weren't just what they've done for the first 3 seasons, they weren't joking.
Absolutely not.
They've done it all, and it is mental to me that season 4 is 8 episodes.
It's been 9, hasn't it? I think it's been
confirmed.
Oh,
is it 9? Okay.
I think if you look at the picture, you can pick out 9 scripts. That's what we're going based on them, with scraps. Absolute scraps.
Still, 9 episodes? All of these subplots? 9 episodes? We need like 20 at this point.
I don't know. This has nothing to do with the psychiatric hospital right now.
But it does. How is it going to... how is it going to tie in, and like how are we going to get there, and how are the characters going to like end up playing such a big part with it? Because obviously saying about the gruesome murder, that's so specific, and will Peter finally take a stand? Like, they're not just going to say that and then just Peter's going to be this side character that we never hear about. Like, the fact that he's been announced in this shows that he's obviously playing like such a big part. So
because also obviously like the brutality he witnesses every day. Actually, that doesn't even suggest he has anything to do with Robert Englund.
No.
Like, it doesn't at all.
No.
His plot can read as something completely separate.
Yeah, he could be with other patients.
Yeah, because I mean, yeah, as I said, it's not mentioning that he's actually talking or is the ward of Victor Kreil at all. He's just witnessing brutality in the psychiatric hospital.
Exactly. So... And I wonder, the thing that is interesting to me is that Victor Kreil's character wasn't imprisoned in a prison for the murder, but he was imprisoned in a hospital.
Oh, I've just had a thought just come into my head. So, do you remember when they did the video store Fridays?
Yes.
And a lot of the things were so based on dreams.
Oh, yeah. Like Nightmare on Elm Street 3 was one of them, right?
Like the other things as well, there were so many things about how things were happening in dreams. They didn't really know how it was happening. And I wonder if it's going to be kind of a thing where he almost not zoned out, but actually we spoke about something like this when we did the MK Ultra.
I have the sheet here.
Yeah, we spoke of this when we did the MK Ultra video. That there was one person when they murdered their child or something like that, but they had no recollection of doing it.
Yeah,
and that they then said they'd been involved in MK Ultra. I wonder then actually if his line is going to be to do with that. So it's kind of happened on a very unconscious level, which is why he is at a psychiatric hospital, because he's probably saying as well, very much like, I haven't done this, I've done nothing wrong, and yeah, here we are. Yeah,
because I'm wondering, like, obviously we're looking at it and I am thinking Robert Englund, Freddy Krueger, he's going to be like dodgy, and obviously if he's a murderer then yes, but like, are we looking at that as in he's going to be like an awful character, but actually it's going to be that it was, I mean, still he murdered someone, it's still awful, but like, is it going to be that it's like MK Ultra had an influence, which then makes me think, because I have the sheet here where we compiled all the video store Fridays and theorized what they meant. We were looking at things like The Shining and Winter Soldier and that kind of thing as brainwash. Is it Hopper? But what if it's not Hopper? What if we were wrong?
Yeah, there we go. What if it's actually Victor Kreil?
Yeah.
And that would make sense. It does say a disturbed and intimidating man. And I don't know why that's made me just think of Winter Soldier, but there we go.
But like Bucky, like doesn't know what he's doing, like ever. Yeah. So could be. What if it is that? What if this whole time we've been thinking, yeah, it's like Hopper, because we didn't know about these new characters when we compiled this. This was UK Lockdown 1 FaceTime discussion. Maybe we should update it. Maybe we should do an updated one and then post it on the podcast account so people can see what we did. We should do that.
We should do that.
We will do that. Follow us on our social media so you can see our
spoilers.
Yeah, literally spoilers. But yeah, so that is the two people that we know about that are going to be in the psychiatric hospital, which may or may not be Pennhurst according to the wiki. So let's see about that. So the second person that was announced, going back to that, is Eduardo Franco, who's going to be playing Argyle, who is Jonathan's new BFF, a fun-loving stoner who proudly delivers pizza pies for Surfer Boy Pizza, which is an entirely different vibe than Pennhurst Psychiatric Hospital.
It annoys me, it frustrates me slightly, because I just think this is literally the only thing we know about the bias, and it gives us everything, but absolutely nothing at the same time. And I don't know how to take this.
There has been lots of speculation because of this. So obviously we've got the fact that he delivers pizza. People are wondering, is that now Jonathan's job? Because is that how they met? Because Jonathan also delivers pizza. Or did they meet at school? Pizza boy Jonathan Byers.
I cannot see it. I can't see it. Can you imagine Jonathan delivering pizza? I can't. He's too cool for that.
I don't know. My brother used to be a pizza boy.
I know, but don't you think that he thinks he's too cool to deliver pizza?
Yeah.
What do you mean? Like he's too indie for that.
Too indie. He's not like other boys.
Anyway. Yeah.
But yeah, did he meet him at school, or did he meet him because that's where he works now? And also Surfer Boy Pizza. Surfer Boy. That's interesting.
It just there near some water, doesn't it?
Yes,
really?
it does. Yes, it does.
There's been a lot of speculation as to where the buyers are moving. I don't want to get into it.
No.
Really. So we're gonna avoid that, but there's been a lot of places where people think it could be. A lot of people are expected Illinois. So there's been like Illinois.
That's where Murray is.
Yeah,
Murray
exactly.
is in Illinois, so.
There's been California. There's been
Utah.
There's been many Utah. Yeah, there's been many places where they think they could have gone. I guess we'll leave. We will leave that up to interpretation.
Question of the week: where do you think the buyers have moved to? Where do we go? But yeah, genuinely just really interesting. Like, it's just, like I said, it gives us everything and nothing at the same time. It is absolute scraps. We know nothing about the buyers right now, and where they are and what they're doing, and I hate it.
That's the only one. They're the only ones at this point, really. I want to know what's going on, because I think the way it was left in season 3 of just seeing them ride off in the car. But then this is the thing that gets me as well, that actually on that subject of where they're actually moved to. If it is somewhere like California, they have driven how many hours?
Like 44 hours or something ridiculous.
Just got up on the road and gone. Packed up the house, just driven. Jonathan drove a sobbing Will Byers for 44 hours. So, you know, I don't know. I just want more information. I need more information on the buyers and what is going on with them. But yeah, is fun-loving stoner.
Yeah.
Is Jonathan getting an interesting storyline?
Possibly.
Who
Maybe he
knows?
is. We will see. Hopefully this year. But probably.
I'm excited though, like real talk, that Jonathan's gonna have a friend.
Yeah,
I think we've seen him with Nancy and a little bit with Steve in season 1, but that never really actually evolved into anything, and that frustrates me because I think actually Steve, Nancy, and Jonathan could have been a bit of a trio. But I'm excited to see him.
Not a romantic trio, just.
Oh no.
I mean, no judge if people do ship that, but I just wanted to clarify that is not what Emily meant, because I knew that's not what Emily meant.
Thank you. But no, I'm excited to see him with someone outside of Nancy, because I think in season 2 and 3 actually, it was just very much them two, and same with Nancy as well. Actually, I think even though we're not getting much on her storyline at all through this information, it'd be nice to see Nancy with friends too, because the only friend we saw her with was with Barb, who died. So
pretty much.
It'd be nice to see her with friends. I think actually I'm kind of looking forward to seeing that a little bit, see how that works. Separate. I hope they're good. I hope they are. I hope they're good.
I hope they're good too. I like them. I'm rooting for them. So
I am rooting for them too.
So I hope that they're good. Shall we go Hawkins or Russia next?
Let's go Russia. Let's go to
Russia. Russia.
Over in Russia, the Russia subplot, we have 2 characters that we know of currently. Dmitry and Yuri. Both kind of similar roles, but in different ways. I mean, I'm presuming this is, unless we've got another subplot going on, this is very much the Hopper subplot.
Yes.
And Hopper, I guess. Well, this is the one that interests me. I'm gonna bring it over a bit. This is the one that interests me. A smart and charming Russian prison guard. Can he be trusted?
Yeah,
So
that's
to me,
Dimitri.
yeah. So that to me suggests that Hopper is not necessarily trying to find a way out.
Yes.
But there's a bit of investigation kind of stuff going on there, and he's trying to get close with the guards.
Yeah, because Hop's clever. Like, he was a detective, he's really clever, and if he isn't the brainwash subplot like we thought, maybe he is then thinking, I need to get out, and he is trying to think of ways. Shawshank. That was an influence, wasn't it?
I think so. I feel like it was.
Yeah. Spoilers for Shawshank Redemption. They break out of the prison.
Well, there we go then.
There we go. But yeah, no, genuinely, like, and that's also Stephen King, who is a big influence anyway. So it could be something like that.
Yeah, because especially then we look at the character of Yuri, who is a seedy and unpredictable Russian smuggler who loves bad jokes, cold hard cash, and crunchy style peanut butter. So we've got that smuggler character kind of there as well. So is it sneaking stuff in, or is it sneaking stuff out? So could there be messages being relayed to other places, especially when we know that the voicemail of Murray Bauman that came out around season 3 said about that there is more, that was it something like he thinks he's got a lead, or he thinks he's found some information, something like that.
Yeah.
So could this be the connection that Murray has?
Because why would you, in a Russian prison camp in the middle of nowhere, where it's really snowy and it's like obviously some kind of like workplace, how would you have crunchy style peanut butter? I'm not saying they don't have peanut butter in Russia, but I'm talking about on the specific camp that they're in.
It's a very specific thing to pick up.
Yeah.
There we go.
I found though they were really interested, just like the little questions that they give you, like with the information with the characters, like you said with Dimitri, can he be trusted? At which case, like, is he someone that either Hopper initially trusts and then finds out he can, or doesn't trust and then finds out he's been helping the whole time? And then with
is it
Yuri,
going to be like an Owens scenario where it was kind of like you kind of spent part of season 2 being like, okay, we can trust him, then no, we can't trust him, and then we know in season 3 obviously they've still kind of had this real connection to Murray, to Owens, because he sends in the whole army to essentially help them out. So is there going to be that kind of thing going on there? I don't know.
Yes, so I am wondering, and I do wonder, because obviously the Russians were looking at opening the gate, and obviously they did something because Hop was sort of transported, I guess, through something. I mean, it's still not completely clear how he survived and got to Russia.
Not at all.
Not at all. But I am interested, once the lab was shut down, what did they do in Russia? How are they working with the gates? How are they sort of working on it? And then how does that work outside of Hawkins? And sort of what does that play into? But obviously that comes into the discussion of what is the Upside Down and why is it in Hawkins and all of that jazz. I have a theory that it was supposed to be that Hawkins was a real place, but it was like wiped off the map because of everything that was going on. So it's not a real place now in Indiana, but it was back then.
Oh, that's interesting. Because that kind of fits into like the future theory kind of thing as well, in a sense. So that actually would be a really interesting way of playing it out, and would be slightly more satisfying than what I really am starting to think, like genuinely now that I've thought it for a while, that it's either going to be like a D&D ending and it was all a campaign or it was all a story. But that would be so much more satisfying. It would be bittersweet, but it would also make me feel better that they're not going to go back to the scene in season 1 and Will this time rolls like a 9 or something. But there we go.
Speaking of Hawkins, we have Sherman Augustus, who is playing Lieutenant Colonel Sullivan, who is an intelligent, no-nonsense man who believes he knows how to stop the evil in Hawkins once and for all. So is this
I'll
someone...
also tie into that one then with Mason Dye, who is playing Jason Carver, who is a handsome, rich athlete who is dating the most popular girl in school, but as a new evil threatens Hawkins, his perfect world begins to unravel. So we now have that mention of the evil and how to stop things. So I wonder if there's going to be some connection between this.
Yeah.
In some sense.
Yeah, shit's still going to be going down in Hawkins. Like, we can't pretend that Hawkins is clear. Just because Elle's not there doesn't mean stuff's not happening. And I'm going to assume that Lieutenant Colonel Sullivan is part of Owens's team.
Yeah, I mean, it would make sense.
Lieutenant suggests some form of government, some form of like army.
Yeah, so just like an army kind of. So I'm actually really interested to know actually what is going on as such then, because obviously, as we said, the gate's meant to be closed.
Yeah, it's meant to be stopped. Yeah.
Yeah, in that theory, then nothing should be happening. But then saying that, we had the wonderful subplot in season 3 when we thought, I'm bringing him up, but it makes sense at this point. We thought Will was fine, but the whole thing, but obviously he was still affected by it, and also the Mind Flayer was able to build a new self for itself in this world because we locked it in.
Yeah.
But then that's the thing then that doesn't make sense then, because, well, actually, no, it does make sense then, because even though they killed the host and the gate was closed again, surely the Mind Flayer is still locked here.
Like it's if it like was with sentient form.
Yeah, because if it was with Will in season 2, surely it's the same with Billy then, because they didn't kill it.
No. But then I guess Billy died and Will didn't.
And the gate, yeah. See, that's what doesn't make that. But then saying that, but then the gate closed still, and that was the whole thing. You close the gate, like you shut that down.
Brain dies, body dies.
And then yeah.
It is interesting.
Unless we just found a massive plot hole.
Basically, yes, can make no sense. What it does interest me, though, is that it says it believes he knows how to stop the evil in Hawkins once and for all, which suggests that the evil has not been stopped currently, like you said. So obviously the evil, the Mind Flayer, the Demogorgons. I mean, we saw a Demogorgon in Russia at the end of season 3. Yeah. That's what we have. Yeah. So it makes me wonder, if he believes it, do they try it and it doesn't work? He has like a wacky opinion on what to do, but it turns out he doesn't, it's not right, and they try something and it makes it worse. Or is he dodgy, so he's saying, shall we do it this way, and it's gonna make it worse.
Yeah.
So
scraps, we're looking
scraps
here.
Scraps. Like you said,
title of this podcast, scraps.
Digging for scraps. So like you said as well, we have Jason Carver, who is a handsome, rich athlete who is dating the most popular girl in school, but as the new evil threatens, his perfect world begins to unravel. Which is this kind of like a Derry situation, in that because he's in high school, he's a little bit older. I know that he's still like a kid, but is he just unaware of the horrors that have gone down? Because we have Eddie Munson, who we will talk about in a moment, but he strikes me as someone that probably knows a bit more than he lets on, whereas Jason strikes me as someone that doesn't have a clue about any of this and gets swept up in it accidentally, and that interests me.
Yeah, that's what this suggests, I think. But so is it going to be like a Robin situation, essentially, again?
Yeah,
because that kind of happened with her, so it's going to be with him as well. But this is what I don't understand. This is a plot hole. This is a plot hole of Stranger Things. How on earth do people not know?
But this is the thing, because if it is like a Derry situation, the town of Derry makes them not know. So like the Pennywise's or its power makes that so that's not the case. So someone goes missing, and then by the time the next person goes missing, they've completely forgotten about the person that went missing previously. And then if you leave Derry, you forget about Derry. You leave it and then you forget it's even a thing. And I'm not saying that's the case with Hawkins. Oh my god, can you imagine if that was the case with Hawkins, with Will and Elle? No, thank you. I don't think it's the case with Hawkins. It's not going to be the case with Hawkins, not at all. But I wonder if there's some like vibe over the town, and the big bad is clever enough to keep some people unaware. Because obviously none of the parents know, except for Joyce and Hop.
Yeah.
You know, sort of no one knows. And I think, you know, Mr. Clark is seen as a outlier of, he's not fully aware, but he's a little bit aware. And I wonder if it's that case as well, that it's, if it doesn't directly affect you, then it's not relevant.
No. So how on earth, like, generally, how on earth do Mr. and Mrs. Wheeler do not know anything?
I don't think
like, I mean, they know what they've been told, don't they? Like, they think that she's Russian, she's a Russian spy, and they're like, yeah, that's the truth. But how did they not know that she was living in the basement for close to a week? Did they just not go downstairs? But anyway,
it's Mike's domain.
Anyway, I'm still not over that line from the comics. It's just it's
Nancy's is my domain
thing. Anyway, right. So, D&D comics. We will talk about it at some point.
Speaking of D&D, Eddie Munson. But yes, no, we will talk about the D&D comics probably when the 3rd. They finish on the 3rd, so we will talk about it that weekend, February the 3rd weekend. But yes, Eddie Munson. Joseph Quinn is playing Eddie Munson, who is the head
of the Hawkins High official D&D club, the Hellfire Club,
which we know officially is the title of episode 1, except in my dream, where the title of episode 1 was Brother, in a dream I had about season 4. But no, it is the Hellfire Club, which obviously is the first episode. And I am thinking now that the dice video that they released on Stranger Things Day is going to be the opening shot of the first episode.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised. I would not be surprised. I'm intrigued by Eddie. I'm intrigued by the Hellfire Club in general.
Me too.
Do I think that Eddie is going to survive post season 4?
Nope.
No. But the Hellfire Club is clearly going to be an important part of the series. Yeah. I think. Because I mean, like, Susie, do you copy? Susie very much did copy in episode 8 of season 3. And there we go.
Yes,
so we
exactly.
Had that whole thing there. The Hellfire Club frustrates me for multiple reasons. One of them being that they spent the entire season 3 being like, we don't want to play D&D anymore, we're not kids, and then they go and join a D&D club. But that is a discussion for another day,
and a discussion that we can't fully talk about, because officially we only know one person that's part of the D&D club, and that is Dustin. We do not officially know who could make up the other half of the we.
Moving swiftly on.
Eddie is definitely gonna die, but I think Eddie is a bit dodge. I don't trust him. I get vibes from Eddie.
I don't know. See, I would like to think that we could trust Eddie, because I think it's really predictable to... Well, I wonder if he's going to be kind of like a Bob scenario, when we were given Bob and thought... I mean, I know that we thought that he was a bit dodgy and something was not going to be right with him, but it actually turned out to be this really great guy who had a tragic death. I wonder if they're going to play it like that.
Yeah.
But then, I don't know. I really don't know.
Just, like I said, the Hellfire Club is just interesting. you know, with the whole satanic panic thing and the fact that the school has one, and have we never heard about it before? I know we haven't been in high school, but like, I don't know, it just seems to be this like big sort of kind of like a secret society type thing, you know, like in colleges where they have like secret societies. And kind of makes me think a little bit like that, like it's a bit sort of like you can't tell anyone about this, you can't talk about it. But then I mean,
Fight Club scenario.
Yeah, but then I mean, Dustin, definitely just Dustin, has a Hellfire Club t-shirt. So I mean that's not very subtle, is it?
Not at all.
It just says the Hellfire Club.
In that video as well, wasn't he like running down the like where they were filming with like this cape or something as well with Hellfire Club?
Oh yeah.
So
yeah, they posted this officially. That's official. Like they posted
we're allowed
that.
to talk about
that.
So yeah, so it is not a subtle thing at all, is it really? But then we've spoken about what the Hellfire Club and all that kind of thing means, and how it's been relevant in different contexts.
Got a whole video about it.
Also, we did, and obviously their X-Men reference.
Mm-hmm.
So it'll be interesting. I will be interesting. Want to know more about the buyers, to be honest. That's one.
Me too.
I want to know what Elle and Will are up to.
Scraps. We've got not even scraps. We've got nothing for where the buyers are. And I've also just realized when I said video that this is going to go on YouTube. So because it's going to go on YouTube, I just need to state for the record that this, I just like fancy glasses. I can't drink alcohol. This is elderflower press. Okay. I just need to state that because we're uploading it onto YouTube and it's an alcohol thing on YouTube. This isn't alcohol. I'm not allowed to drink alcohol because of medication. So just to clear our backs there, continue the buyers. I just want buyers information. That's
my point.
Yeah. Who are you most excited to see out of these 8?
I'm excited, I think I'm excited by Victor Kreil, to be honest. I'm excited to see what's going from there. I am also excited by Argyle though, but in a different way. I think the Argyle intrigues me as a character because I want to know how he's going to fit in and how the relationship's going to work there. But I think Victor to me feels significant.
Yeah.
And part of something. So I think that's who I'm drawn a bit more towards.
Especially because there is Nightmare on Elm Street references. I mean, I think people know this, but the main character in Nightmare on Elm Street, one of the girls, is called Nancy, and Nancy Wheeler is named after her.
Yeah.
So, you know, from the get-go they've had Nancy. As in, the Duffers named the character Nancy because of that, not Karen and Ted named Nancy after the character in Nightmare on Elm Street. That would be, but, you know, from the get
time as well.
Bit before her time as well, yeah. But I think, the Duffers just sort of have thought about that, and that seems to have been an influence from the get-go. So it's interesting to me that I know he's not playing Freddy Krueger, but that would be a interesting collaboration.
Definitely.
But yeah, I am really intrigued by that, and I'm definitely intrigued by the Hellfire Club as well. We would love to know what you're most interested in, who you're most interested in seeing in season 4. Thank you guys for listening.
Remember, you can catch us on Spotify, Google Podcast, Apple Podcasts, and Stitcher at Hawkins Do You Copy, on our social medias at Hawkins Podcast on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram, and then hawkinsdoyoucopy.tumblr.com on Tumblr. Thank you guys for listening. We will see you next week for episode 24 of the Hawkins Do You Copy podcast. Yeah. Over and out.